Hello everybody, it's Beth here again. Today we're going to have a go at doing a nice simple pencil drawing. We're going to have a little go at drawing this lovely owl. I've used a range of pencils. A 2B pencil is ideal if you have one. If you haven't, don't worry, just a normal pencil and a rubber will do. So if you've got everything ready, we'll start. We're going to begin by drawing his beak. So when we're drawing with our pencil, we always do little sketchy lines and press nice and lightly so that when we do make a mistake, we can rub it out really easily. So just little sketchy lines. We're going to start off by drawing his beak. So a little gentle curved line and then curve them round to a nice little point like that. Once we're happy with our line, then you can always work over it and make it darker. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take my pencil at the edge, sort of towards the top and at the edge on this corner, and just track it up to probably about the same height as the beak. So I'm going to draw a nice like curved line. These are the top of the eyes, okay? So a nice curved line like this, and then I'm going to do a big circle underneath. So nice big eye like this. Okay, going to do the same on the other side. So I'm just tracking it up so that it's roughly level with the edge of the beak and level with this line over here. And then another big arch. Try and get them roughly symmetrical. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just little sketchy lines to start with, and then we'll try and make them roughly equal. So bring it down, curve it round, maybe take it off the top like that. So we've got our eyes just mapped in to start with. Okay. So I'm going to make his eyes really, really big. So inside that eye, I'm going to do a really big circle. It's going to touch the top and come almost down to the bottom, like this. Same in both eyes, all the way round. Okay, like that. I'm just going to map the basic shapes out to start with, and then we'll come back to doing the shading. So once we've got the eyes and the nose popped in, we're going to roughly just do the shape of the face. So up again, sort of we want this central, and then we're going to go round in a big arc, little sketchy lines, bring them round, leave a little gap, the side of the eyes, round, down, and just under the beak. Like this. It's going to come in a little point, so it's almost like a little heart shape. Can you see? So over the top of the eyes and around the edge. Try and keep it roughly the same on both sides. Down and then round to meet. Just do your little sketchy lines, and then you can rework it if you need to. Okay. So we've done our basic lovely shape around the eyes and the beak, and then we're just going to pop the top of the head in, so just a little bit above the head now, and then we're going to follow this shape, so across the top and then down the sides, taking it to roughly level with his chin, I would, and then across the other side, round, and then down, this sort of about the same. Doesn't have to be perfect, okay, on both sides. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring these out a little bit, these lines just out, gentle slope down, out and then back in. Just little sketchy feathery lines on both sides, all the way down to about here. Now before I continue this, I'm going to draw a little branch in so that he's perched on his little branch. So just a simple line. All we need to do is like a gentle curve going slightly up and then over And then I'm leaving about a couple of centimetres, quite a chunky branch up. Then I'm going to fork it off just a little bit, take it all the way to the edge of the page. And then, so keeping it nice and simple. Okay, so once I've got my branch mapped in, then I'm going to just continue the body, just down. And then you can take it under the branch. It might come off the edge of the page, or you might just squeeze it in. Doesn't really matter. Okay, right, so the next thing we're just going to pop his wings in. So all I'm going to do, where the top bit sort of came in a little bit, I'm going to just continue that line. I'm just going to, little broken lines coming in towards his body and then back down to the branch. Okay, and then the same on the other side. Not doing this perfectly symmetrical, it's slightly different. There we go. Okay, so I've got his wings in now. His feet, these are quite tricky to draw, so we're not going to go too detailed. Just going to do two little sort of legs, and then we're just going to bring it down onto the branch, and then we're just going to, it's like bananas. So one claw, I'm going to do maybe 3 here. So just curving because he's on the branch, and then the 4th one would be behind the branch. So we won't see that. So 1, 2, actually what I might do, let's rub those out a minute. I think I might do those going slightly the other way, so like that. So curving round in the opposite direction. I think that looks a bit better. Okay, so gripping onto that branch. Okay, so you don't have to go too detailed with the claws, they are quite tricky. So I think we've got our basic shapes of everything mapped in now. Check you're happy with everything. Now we're going to shade it. So this is where it's good to have a 2B pencil if you can, or sketching pencil, because you can get some really nice dark shades. I'm going to just start off with the eye first of all, get the eyes in, and it looks better already. So I'm just popping in a little shine, same place on each eye. So I'm doing it slightly to the right, and then I'm pressing really hard. I'm going to colour that middle circle in, keeping the outside one light for now. We're going to press super hard, as you can, and get that really dark, really black. If you're going to paint this or add ink to it, you definitely want this bit as dark as you can. Okay, and then the same on the other eye. So I'm going quite scribbly. You obviously take your time, work at your own pace. Stop and pause when you need to, and then you can take your time and do it nice and carefully. So nice dark eyes, and then I'm going to just work over this line a little bit. Now I'm not doing it really neat, I'm just doing little scratchy sketchy lines, and where this line comes in I'm going to take it into a point and then just work under, just a little bit of shading underneath the eye as well. Okay, and then I'm going to make that outside edge really dark, like this. Okay, the same on the other side, so just working over that top line, making it nice and dark, creating a little point just in the corner of the eye, and then taking it down, and that makes those eyes really stand out nicely. And then just working over the outside, just making that nice and dark. Okay, and then, okay, so we've shaded around the eyes. We're going to have a little go at shading the beak now. So we're trying to give this beak form. So what we are doing is the edges are going to be darker than the middle bit. The middle bit we want to keep nice and light. But also with my line work, I'm trying to just emphasize the shape of the beak, so it's slightly curved as well. So just down the edges just shading it in, but also trying to keep my line a little bit curved as well. And then down to that point, a little bit around the top. I'm going to put these 2 little dark spots in just there. And then I'm just going to give it a little smudge and just try and smudge and blend that shading in. Once you've done that, with your rubber, you can always just add a little highlight just down the middle if you've gone too dark with it. So just make those edges really dark, right on the edge. Maybe get that darkness back in, and then that really helps your beak just pop out a little bit. Just going to extend the edge a little bit, so the little sort of squiggly line. Okay, so that's our beak pretty much done. What I'm going to do next is we're just going to start shading in his face a little bit, adding a little bit of detail to his face. So this point here, I'm going to just put some markings just coming down. I'm just doing quite a little scribbly line again, not a perfectly straight line, and as I'm coming down I'm getting a bit lighter and maybe a bit more of a broken line. So it's starting off quite wide and thick at the top, and then just breaking it up just a little bit, just down the middle bits. And then we're going to just put some markings around his eyes. So I'm just doing some little dashes, not perfectly neat, not in straight lines, just quite random. Again, following the curve of his face, above his eyes. A few more around the edge of his eye, and then a few little dashes underneath on both sides. Some little markings in his feathers. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of shading, just very lightly, just underneath his eye. Just around the edge. Just very light, not pressing hard my pencil, just underneath on both sides. So, and then just following his eye around like that. And then I might just do a little bit of gentle shading around the edge of his face. So taking it all the way around. Keeping my line where it's quite loose. Okay, so once I've done that, I'm just going to blend it in just a little bit, just a gentle bit of smudging. But we want his face to still stay quite light, so we don't want to go too dark. So just under his eyes, smudge that in just a little bit. Okay, around his beak. This middle bit here, I do want to stay really nice and light. So if you go a bit crazy with your smudging, you can always get your rubber, just get it light again. Okay, and then just blend in a little bit. All right, so we've got the basic face done. Now we're going to just work on the top of his head. So I'm going to just a nice sort of scribbly line again, just around his face now. Really going to bring that out. So pressing nice and hard with your pencil. So it's not a perfectly smooth line, I'm just trying to break it up a little bit. So it's like little zigzags, little scribbles, like that. Okay. And then I'm going to do some little markings now on the top of his head. So just very gentle little markings. Maybe little scribbles even. Not uniform, we don't want them really neat or in perfect lines again. And then we'll do a little smudge just to blend them in a little bit. And then again, I'm going to go right round the edge and just bring that back out, pressing nice and hard. Working down the head, like that. Okay, so now I want to make just underneath his face a bit darker, so I'm going to just put a little bit of line work in, coming out, taking it a little bit under his chin, not going all the way round, so concentrating mainly on the edges just here. And then again, use my finger. You're going to get mucky fingers, and just smudging that in just a little bit. Okay. So the top section is pretty much done. We're going to start working on the wings now. So you can think about how you want to do your wings. What I'm going to do, I'm keeping it quite loose. I'm not doing perfect feathers. I'm going to just do sort of little U shapes, but with a squiggly line almost. Some are bigger than others. I'm going down. Okay, and same on both sides. So it's like a U, but it's a squiggly line. So just breaking up his wings with these lines. You make some smaller, maybe some bigger. And then all I'm going to do, keeping it quite simple, is just shading the bottom edge of each of those U shapes. You can probably see them a bit better now. I'm shading them in a bit. So following the shape, shading them in. On both sides, like this. And then you can probably guess what I'm going to do next. We're going to get our smudging finger. We're going to give them all a really good smudge and try and blend those in a little bit. Okay. So have a little look, see if you think there's enough pencil work in them. You might want to come back and put a few more little lines coming up. Just a little extra layer of detail. Getting some nice shades in there, nice bit of line work. Okay, and then again I'm just going to work a little broken line around the edge, just bringing it out a bit more. Okay, and then the bottom of his tail, I'm not going to do too much, we're just going to just shade it in a bit, just make it a little bit darker down this bottom, so not too much detail. We want our eye drawn to this top section really, so I'm just doing a little bit of quite scruffy shading, a little bit down here just to connect the two sections. Okay, around his legs. All right. And then his body, all I'm going to do for his body is very similar to what we've done up here. So just some little scribbly spots. So I'm pressing nice and hard. I want to make those nice and dark. Maybe some little squiggly lines. Look quite nice. I'm doing more at the top. And then as we work down, I'm just getting less, maybe making them a little bit lighter as well. Okay, so put what you're thinking. I think that's probably enough. All right, and then give it a little smudge, just knock that white back a little bit. Okay, but we do want the middle section lighter than the wings. Okay, so once we've done that, we'll come on to the feet. So the feet we're going to keep quite simple. Don't want them to stand out too much. So I'm just doing the tips of the feet a little bit darker. And then I'm just shading the edges a little bit and keeping that middle section lighter, and that just helps to give them a little bit of form. But I'm not worrying too much about the feet today. Okay, and then smudge it in a little bit. So just colouring the tips in, and then the edges of each claw, a little bit, leaving that middle bit light, a little bit of shading on the sides of the legs. If you've still got your branch there, what you can do is rub that out, because obviously you wouldn't see the branch, would you? So just rub that out and then just shade it in just a little bit. Okay, I like that. Right, and then the last thing we've got to do is our branch. So again, it looks very flat at the moment, so we're going to use our pencil work. We're going to make the bottom bit, if you think about the light coming down, the underneath of the branch is going to be darker. So we're going to shade that in. I'm going to try and use my lines, try and follow the shape of the branch a little bit, but I'm not worrying too much. So just so that bottom edge is much darker. So really press hard with your pencil. Get that nice dark tone. Go along this fork. And bottom bit of this end. Really get it nice and dark. I'm going to shade a little bit on the top, not quite so dark. Just bring it out a little bit. Obviously you don't want to shade on your owl. Go along the top. And then what I'm going to do again is smudge it in, blend it in. So smudge it in, have a look at it. See if you need a bit more shading. I might just do a slightly lighter, so I'm not pressing quite so hard now. I'm just a layer above it, but making it just a little bit lighter. So I've got a really dark edge, and then as we come up the branch, it's just slightly a lighter shade, and the same along this top edge. Okay, but we do want it nice and light in the middle. Okay, so I think we're pretty much there. So have a little look, check that you're happy with everything. Maybe you could bring your eyes out, a little bit more shading around your eyes. Just check all the dark sections are as you want them. Maybe make some of the darker bits a bit darker, but I think we are basically there. So I hope you enjoyed drawing your owl today, and we will see you again soon. Bye for now.